The last birthday. She sat by the window in her little princess dress, a pale pink gown with a tiara that kept slipping. In her small hands, she held a slice of cake no one had come to eat. 7 lit candles flickered on a dark chocolate cake. 2 birthday balloons with faded strings hung limp in the corner. On the kitchen counter stood 36 freshly frosted cupcakes, a silent army of sweetness. I had stayed up until 2 a.m. to make, and still not a single knock at the door dart. It was the same every year. No calls, no texts, no last-minute excuses that made me feel like I was being a burden. Just a complete and total silence from the people who were supposed to be family. I tried to make it better for her. I told my daughter Luna maybe they just got busy today. She nodded, trying to be strong like me. But I saw her glance at the phone again. Her little face was filled with hope that it would light up with love or a message of apology. It didn't. So I quietly packed up the extra cupcakes in a big cardboard box. We got into the car and drove a few blocks to a women's shelter down the street. The women there were all strangers, but they hugged Luna and called her beautiful. They sang a loud, joyful birthday song for her with clapping and laughter. It was a song that was louder and more loving than my own family had ever been. She left the shelter that day with a smile and a pocket full of little thank you notes. It was a day of sadness and also of great kindness. 4 days later, I was sitting at my desk at work. The afternoon sun was streaming in through the tall office windows when my phone buzzed with an alert. A message from my bank. $2,900. Withdrawn from your card ending in 0387. I blinked in surprise. I did not remember making any large purchases recently, and I certainly did not remember giving anyone permission to use my card. Then the memory came back like a cold stone in my stomach. I remembered my dad, Ezra, still had access to my account. I had given it to him last year when he needed help after a surgery. He had never given it back, and I had let it slide for too long. I called my dad. The phone rang until it went to voicemail. I called my sister. Her phone went straight to voicemail too. I tried my mom. Her phone was busy. This silence was familiar this time. It wasn't just them being busy. It was them hiding. So I stopped calling them and sent a single message to our family group chat. Wait for a call from my lawyer. It only took 10 minutes for the chaos to begin. My sister's voice messages came first. Her voice was unhinged and shrill. Are you serious right now? She screamed into the phone. It was for Dad's new generator. He didn't even know the account was still connected to it. Another one came right after. You're going to threaten legal action over family. It's just money. Then my dad Ezra chimed in with a message of his own. His voice was calm and condescending, a tone I had heard all my life. You're completely overreacting, he said. It's not that serious. Besides, you make enough money. And there it was. That tone, that assumption. That belief that my boundaries were optional for them, that I existed to fund their choices and to absorb their absences without question. This was not just theft. This was a clear confirmation of what I'd always known. I didn't scream back. I didn't reply to their messages. I just called my lawyer. Here is what they did not know. 2 months ago, I had started preparing for this exact moment. I had seen this pattern coming for years. The silence, the entitlement, the constant cycle of them taking and me giving. So I'd already updated all my account authorizations. I had filed paperwork to formally revoke financial permissions, and I had filed a fraud watch on all my accounts. I had also opened a brand new account and moved almost all of my money into it. I had left the old account almost completely empty except for one last payment card. It was the card my dad had just used. I let them think they had gotten away with it for a full 48 hours. I let them argue in circles in our group chat while I quietly documented everything. I took screenshots of their messages. I saved my bank statements and I kept copies of all their phone calls and texts. Then I sent the entire file of evidence to the bank's fraud division. The freeze on their accounts happened within hours. My phone rang again a little while later. This time it was my dad and he was yelling. You reported me to the effing bank. He shouted. They froze my account. No, I said you did that. You withdrew money that wasn't yours. I just forwarded the receipts of what you did. He tried to use guilt against me. He said Mom is stressed because of this. He said I was ruining the family. I asked him one simple question, where were you on Luna's birthday? There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Exactly, I said. If this is how you act, when I say nothing, imagine what will happen. When I actually speak up. They wanted an apology from me. I gave them a summary instead. December 6, 2023, I wrote, you used my card for restaurant bills. February 18, 2020 for jewelry. April 2, 2020 for spa charges in Mom's name. The total was $9,432. All of it was traced. All of it was unauthorized. I pressed send. The group chat went dead for a full hour. Then my sister sent one final message. We didn't think you would actually do something. That was the real problem. They thought I never would do anything. Because I never had. Because I had let it slide for so many years. I had forgiven the missed birthdays. I had overlooked the snide comments. I had swallowed the shame of being the daughter. They only called when they needed something fixed or needed money. But the day my daughter, Luna, sat alone in her little pink dress asking if she did something wrong, that was the last time. I stayed quiet. The legal proceedings were quick and clear. I had the evidence. They only had their excuses. The bank reversed every charge. And their own accounts were flagged for an investigation. I did not press criminal charges. Not yet. I just made sure they could not do it again. Weeks later, my mom sent me a handwritten letter in the mail. It was not to apologize. It was to say that she missed me. She ended it with the words, family should forgive. I did not write back. Because family should also show up. This year, we celebrated Luna's 8th birthday at the Chicago Aquarium. She fed penguins with her own hands and she held a jellyfish in a special tank. She laughed so hard she snorted her slushy out of her nose. She did not ask about grandma or grandpa or her aunt. She was surrounded by people who chose to be there. And I watched her run through the coral tunnel with the light dancing on her face. And I whispered to myself, you did not lose a family. You removed a burden. They taught me that silence could be a currency. So I gave them a transaction they will never forget.